Hi English learners, I thought I'd make a quick vocabulary video for you today on some common phrasal verbs and even just some single words and compound nouns that are used when talking about travelling. And at the end of the video, as always, there will be a downloadable test on this lesson so that you can check that you 100% understand this new vocabulary. So be sure to download that from the website. I will also provide the link in the description under the video. So I'm going to tell you a little story, and it's a true story, and I'm going to put some vocabulary up on the magic board here, and I want you to see if you know the meaning of these words that I put up on the board. Now, if you do know the meaning of these words, no problems, you can skip this video and watch some of my more advanced material. But if you don't, you will learn a lot from this lesson. The words that I put up on the board are all super common words and phrasal verbs and compound nouns that native speakers use to talk about travel. And after my little story, I'm going to explain the meaning of all the words that I put on the board so that you can use these when you talk about traveling. Okay, so little story, here we go. Last week, I went on a road trip in Portugal. I flew in with my family, and it's only a short flight from my home here in Switzerland. So it was really nice to arrive with no jet lag for a change, because normally I fly to Australia once per year to see my family and friends there, because I'm from Australia, and that is a 20-hour flight with one stopover, and after that long flight I normally get very jet lagged. Anyway, when we first arrived in Portugal, we picked up our campervan in Lisbon, and it was a real beauty. It was a V-dub, and I love V-dubs. The roof pops up, so there's lots of headroom, and they're really comfy to sleep in. It was actually quite sad when I had to drop it off, because when I flew back home, had to drop it off. I was a bit sad about that. And it was so handy having a campervan, because we didn't have to check into a hotel. It was our own personal hotel on wheels. So yeah, we travelled from Lisbon down to Algarve, so we headed south, and we really just took it easy. We weren't in a rush at all, we weren't in a hurry, we didn't really have a fixed plan. I really like to be flexible when I travel, and I like a lot of time to chill out and to relax, and that's what I did. I got to do some surfing, a little bit of reading, a little bit of sightseeing, but most importantly, I got to spend some quality time with my wife and young son, Mrs. Grummer Man, and of course, little Grummer Man. Okay, so in this nice little anecdote there, I used a lot of phrasal verbs and a couple of compound nouns. So let's dive in and have a look at these in a bit more detail. Number one. Okay, the first word up on the board there is road trip. Now, road trip is a compound noun. That means when you travel somewhere by car or by bus. So on the road. And
I'm a real Swiss
you normally
guy
stay
here.
overnight or for a number of nights.
I'm 100% Zurich.
Away from home.
Eskedet.
Okay,
Zurich.
good on
I'm
you, mate.
Zurich, you know.
Good on you, mate.
Real
Awesome.
Zurich.
Super. Congratulations. You must be proud. Okay, so I'll just wind back a bit because this goose just jumped in here, but that makes it a bit more exciting. Okay, so road trip. Okay, so road trip, like I was saying, when you travel somewhere by bus or by car on the road, and you normally stay overnight or for a number of nights away from home. Now, we often use the preposition on before road trip. My family and I are on a road trip. So you can see the preposition there, on. We love to go on road trips, and we went on many road trips last year. Number two, flew in. This is a phrasal verb meaning to arrive somewhere by plane. Often we just say flew. I flew to Portugal last week. That means I went to Portugal last week by plane. But we can also say flew in. We got the verb there, flew, and the preposition in, which makes it a phrasal verb. And we usually use this phrasal verb, flew in, when we are still in a new country that we just flew into. For example, if I was still in Portugal now, it would be strange to say, I flew to Portugal a few days ago. Instead, we would say, I flew in a few days ago, or I flew into Portugal a few days ago. Just means I arrived a few days ago. Okay, number 3, jet lag. Someone might say this after a long flight. Oh, I'm so jet lagged. I need a sleep. Jet lag is just an uncountable noun, and it means the feeling of tiredness and confusion that people experience after making a long journey by plane. Jet lag. Okay, we can also use the word jet lagged as an ED adjective to describe how a person feels. So I didn't feel jet lagged after my flight from Switzerland to Portugal because it's only a 1-hour flight, but I always get jet lagged after flying to Australia because it's a 20-hour mission. Okay, it's a 20-hour mission with one stopover. Stopover is our next phrasal verb, and in this context this just means the plane stops somewhere on the way to Australia. Okay, the formal definition is to stop somewhere and stay a short time before continuing a long journey, especially when traveling by plane. A stopover. Now a stopover can be for only an hour, so just to change planes, or you might stop over somewhere for a couple of days. Okay, then we had the common phrasal verb pick up. I said we picked up our campervan. So first of all, campervan. That's fairly self-explanatory. That's just a car that is designed for sleeping in. So we picked up our campervan, and in this context, that means that we went to the place where our campervan was and we collected it. Now, to pick something up is to get something or someone from a place. And we often use it in this context. We often say things like, "Can you pick me up from work?" This means, can you come to my work and get me? Often with your car. Okay, another common example. Don't forget to pick the kids up from school. Maybe a lady says this to her husband. She wants her husband to go to the school and collect the kids, collect the children. It doesn't mean to literally pick them up. It just means to go to the school and collect them. Go to the place and bring the kids away from the school. Okay, so yeah, campervan up on the board there, we've done. So moving on to a beauty. All right, this is a great one. So I've thrown this one in because I'm from Australia, and this is a very, very Australian term, and I think that everybody should use this word. So I'm spreading it around the world. So I looked up beauty in the Cambridge Dictionary, and officially it means something that is excellent. So the campervan was excellent, but beauty is a much better adjective. So I would say this campervan, she's a real beauty. Officially, this is an excellent example of a campervan. All right, another example using beauty. Have you seen Jimmy's bike? Yeah, it's a beauty. Okay, great. I'll do a video in the near future on some common Australian expressions because a lot of people have been asking me for that, and I've got a couple of real beauties. See what I did there? A couple of excellent examples of Australian expressions. All right, moving on. One of the reasons that I describe the campervan as a real beauty is because the roof pops up. All this means is that the roof, it lifts up quickly. I can push a button and the roof pops up. I can lift the roof up quickly. So yeah, pop up means to appear suddenly. For example, often when you're on your computer, an ad might pop up on the screen, and it's quite annoying. Okay, it pops up. All right, then headroom. This is an uncountable noun, and it just means the amount of room above your head, often in a car or a plane or in a room. So the sentence I think I said was, when we pop the roof up, I have a lot of headroom. Okay, there's lots of room above my head. Now a little bonus word, leg room. This is the same, but for your legs, for your getaway sticks. Another Australian saying there. On the flight here, there was not, on the flight to Portugal, there was not a lot of leg room. There was not a lot of space for my legs. Alrighty, then I said the campervan is really comfy to sleep in. Comfy is just the short more informal term for the adjective comfortable. Now, if you describe a place as comfy or comfortable, it just means that you feel physically relaxed without any pain, basically. You feel really relaxed. For example, my bed is really comfy. My bed is really comfortable. There's no physical pain when I lay in my bed. This chair is so comfy. These new shoes are not so comfy. I like my old shoes better. Okay, so comfy is just the shortened version, more informal version of comfortable. And a little bonus pronunciation lesson here. When we say comfortable, we get rid of the OR. You don't say comfortable. If you get rid of the OR, you will say comfortable perfectly. Comfortable. Same with vegetable. Get rid of that second syllable, the air sound. It's not vegetable, it's vegetable. All right, next up. I dropped it off. The dictionary definition of drop it off is the act of taking someone or something to a place where they should go. Often, if we catch a taxi, we might say, "Hi, Mr. Taxi Driver, can you please drop me off at the nearest pub?" We want the taxi driver to take us to the nearest pub and leave us there, maybe indefinitely, okay? Drop off is the opposite of pick up. "Hey, Mr. Taxi Driver, can you pick us up later?" So in my example, I was sad when I dropped off the campervan. I was sad because I really liked the campervan and I didn't want to drop it off. I didn't want to take it back from where we picked it up from. It's very common for parents to drop their kids off at school. Maybe mum or dad takes the child to the school in the morning and leaves them there for, in Australia it's for 6 hours, and then picks them up in the afternoon. Okay, we're getting through them. The next one is handy. This is just an adjective that means useful or convenient. It was very useful having a camper. It was very handy having a camper because we didn't have to check in to a hotel. Now, check in is a very common phrasal verb that we use when we're talking about traveling because it refers to when you go to a hotel and you speak to the person behind the desk. And they normally ask for your name and your passport, and they type your details into the computer, and eventually they give you the key to the room. And this is called checking you in. The person at the hotel checks you in. You check into the hotel. Example sentence, "We can't check in until 1 p.m. This means we can't get our key and go to our room until 1 p.m. Bonus word is check out. This is the opposite. It's when you leave the hotel. You hand the key back to the person at the desk and you leave the hotel. So when you check into the hotel, the person at the desk might say, "Checkout is at 11 a.m. This means you have to hand your key back on your last day at the hotel and leave before 11 a.m. Okay, then I said we headed south. This is just the direction that we drove. We drove south. I have friends visiting Australia next month, and I asked them where they are planning to visit. And they told me, "No, we're just going to fly into Sydney, Grammar Man, and then we don't really know what we're going to do. I think we'll just head north." Okay, same. It's not talking about your head. Head north, head south. No, nothing about your head. It's talking about in the direction that you were driving or walking or even riding your bike. Okay, then I said we took it easy. This phrasal verb can have different meanings, but in this context, it just means that we had a relaxing time. Okay, we were not in a hurry. We were not under stress. We were very relaxed. "What did you do this weekend, Johnny?" "Not much, Grammar Man. I just took it easy." Okay, he relaxed. Johnny relaxed. He's a good relaxer, Johnny. Okay, then I said, I like to be flexible when I travel. Okay, this doesn't mean that I do yoga while I'm driving. It means that I like my plans to be flexible. Okay, I might decide to go surfing this morning, or I might go sightseeing. Okay, I'm flexible. I don't have a set plan. That is what having a flexible travel arrangement means. I'll decide how I feel on the day. No set plan, no fixed plan. I think I said we had a rough plan and we could change our plan. We were flexible. And alrighty, we're nearly there. Next up, I said chill out. Okay, this phrasal verb just means to relax. Yeah, it was a good holiday. We got to spend lots of time chilling out. This means we spent a lot of time relaxing, basically. We chilled out under a tree all day. You could say that in a sentence, a past tense. We chilled out under a tree all day. We relaxed under a tree all day. Alrighty, 2 to go. Next, I said we did some sightseeing. We did some sightseeing. Now, this is an uncountable noun, and it just means that we got to look at some sights, basically. We looked at some buildings, or we looked at some beaches. Sightseeing just means that you go and look at things in a place that tourists often look at. Okay, you look at the sights. Sightseeing, you look at the sights. And finally, we made it. Okay, quality time. Quality time with the Campervan clan. This is what I need to do now before my wife gets upset with me. Okay, to spend quality time with someone is to spend a period of time relaxing or doing things that you both enjoy and not worrying about work or responsibilities or even filming Campervan videos. I love spending quality time with my wife and young son. This means that I very much enjoy spending time with my family and not thinking about anything else, basically. Quality time with your family. This is what quality time means. So in saying that, that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to turn this camera off and not turn it back on for a couple of days because I'm going to spend some quality time with my little family. Alright, that's a wrap there, everybody. I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give the video a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And yeah, most importantly, guys, have a great day and good luck with your English goals and life goals. Cheers.